Okay, in this next tutorial we're going to look at a little bit more about student management. First thing we're going to do is look at how we put our students into online groups, and then also how we can follow our students, track them perhaps. Okay, so to put students in groups, we go to the administration menu, click on the users drop down menu and click on groups. And then we see this screen here. Okay, we want to create a group to begin with so that we can put students in that group. So if we click on create group, then we get this screen here where we can type in, for example, group number 1. If we have an ID for that particular group, we can put that in. We can put a description in. Perhaps you don't really need to do that. You can set up enrollment keys, etc. Put a picture in there if you want, and then we click on Save Changes. Now what we can see is that our group number 1 has been created. Now we want to add students to this group. So we click on the Add Remove Users. When we do so, then we get the list of the students in our class, and we can choose a few of those. By holding down the Control key, we can click on a number of those, and then we click on the Add button. When we do so, the students will go over into this group. Okay, and when we go back to groups, then we can see that our group over here, group number 1, now has 3 people in it, and they are user 2, user 3 and user 4. Now, why do we need groups? Well, there are a number of activities in Moodle that become very crowded if you have all the students participating in them. So sometimes you just want a selection of the students to participate in them and make them more focused. And you can do that with the group settings. As you become more used to using Moodle, you can play around with groupings, and then you can get a full overview of everything that you're doing with groups. But groupings are a little bit more complex, and you might possibly come back to that at a later stage. What we're going to do now is go back to our main course, and you can do so by clicking on the course short name here, and that will take you back to the main course page. Now we want to see what our students are doing. So for example, we might want to get the people block here. So we turn editing on, and from the add a block menu we add people. When we do so, we see the block people here and participants. Well, we might want to put that block up into the doc just to keep things clear. But when we click on participants, then we get a list of the participants in our course. Now, for example, workshop user number 2 has been a little bit active in our course. Let's see exactly what they've done. If we click on workshop user 2, then we get a list of what courses workshop user 2 is in, and basic outline of them. If we go up to the administration section, click on the activity reports drop down menu and click on all logs, then we can see exactly what they're doing, at what time, where they're doing it even. If your server is connected properly with Google Maps, etc., you can click on the IP address and see exactly where your student is doing that. That is pretty scary, really. But that's the kind of thing you can do with Moodle. You can really track what your students are doing, when they're doing it, so that you can keep an eye on them and perhaps give them a nudge along when required. So that's a basic outline of how to put students in groups and how you can track your students.